All right, thanks folks for joining us again on a V2VG video podcast. We are in the car.
On the road again.
On the road again. We haven't done this in a little bit.
We actually haven't done many videos
That's
prior
true.
to August because we've been so busy professionally and personally. We've had medical issues with our families and of course we can't take turns. Both of our families have to have issues at the same time. So
because that's Murphy's Law as far as V2VG goes. For sure.
So
but we're headed to do a Veterans Coffee Hour hosted by Crystal Letourneau.
Yes.
And I think as her role as the VFW.
She just as a facilitator. Yeah.
Sorry.
So this is something she tries to do every month.
They want us to try to facilitate some in Littleton, but I don't know if we're ready to branch off and do that yet. But we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's about finding the right location. So,
it is. Location's important. That's true.
And not having to pay for it. I think that's the biggest issue we're having with Littleton.
Yeah, because there's a lot of logistical issues that we need to work on.
Because anything that's done is coming out of her pocket now that she's not employed through the state VSO anymore.
Right, because she's going to school to further her education, and she'll be a veteran service officer again, but she's going to go independent, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. And she's getting her master's specifically for nonprofit.
Yeah, which is awesome because then we can sort of poach off of her education and to help our nonprofit.
And we sent in our paperwork thus far, waiting for her to get our background checks back.
So we're aiming to become certified agents. Accredited agents, accredited agents to do comp and pen claims for our veteran clients that come and seek that service from us. And then we'll work not against Crystal, but with Crystal to aid our North Country veterans. Yeah, and I think we had a good arrangement. I mean, we've helped do some, but this is going to be very new for us. So our arrangement is basically anything that involves a lot of research or difficulty or appeals. She's either going to take the lead and help us or whatnot, and we'll stick to the easier ones at first. And as we learn. Yeah. Because ultimately the goal is to get the veteran their comp and pen claim approved. Yep. Not, declined as we learn. So we're going to learn while giving them the best opportunity, the best chance to get what they need done. So veteran first, and then our professional development second, which is fair.
We've created great relationships, and Crystal is one of those ones that she clearly trusts us. I mean, she came to us almost last minute to see if we would be willing to do this thing today. Only gave us about 2 weeks, which is fine. I'm not complaining about. I love the respect and trust that we have for each other.
Yeah, Crystal's awesome. She was awesome as a VSO and a resource for our services, and she's going to continue to be as a peer.
And she was a huge advocate for us. Anything that came across her desk that was unorthodox or unusual and outside of her lane, she sent directly to us, which was sometimes frustrating.
Same thing with Simone Cote, who's no longer going to be working at the VA. So there's a lot of changes in our professional peer support, and our peer support.
Yes, absolutely.
But we're kicking on and doing what we have to do.
And we
making new connections.
we forced Simone to take gifts now that she was no longer part of the federal government.
So when working for the VA, they can't accept gifts. But since she was leaving, we made her a couple things to take with her as parting gifts, and she was a little emotional about it.
And it's good, And even to the day that she left, she was like, "Hey, can you guys check on this veteran or that veteran?"
That's how she is. Yeah.
So we're excited for her and her family and what comes next, and
she's doing it for her family.
Oh yeah,
which is obviously our motto is family through service, and her personal motto is basically family first, which is totally cool.
Well, and she said it. She has always taken her work home, and it's become a little bit much having a young child and stuff. So we understand that because we live our work. We literally the garage in between our houses is our work. So
I think it's difficult for us not to take our work home, as it were, because this charity, Veterans to Veterans group, isn't really a job for us, right? It's more, and we've talked about this before.
It's absolutely a mission. Yeah.
It's a mission. So, as a mission first, job second or third, it's part of who we are. It's part of our heart.
No, absolutely.
Oh, so it's saying left. That's the left is saying to take.
So not an actual left.
Not an actual left, just bare left. Yeah.
So we're talking about the GPS.
Yeah, sorry. You're with us on the right.
But we had some R&R time.
We did
recently, and the last probably 3 times we've tried to go to the range, we got suckered into taking some of our kids, and
because we need R&R because we take our work home with us.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we love taking our kids to the range, keeping them safe, but our position changes from us being able to go and shoot and have fun and have that stress relief to being range warden and making sure that our kids are safe and they're practicing all the rules and regulations of the range.
Right.
So, but this time we brought your son, who's the oldest of all the kids, but is also in the Air Force and what do they call it?
The security forces.
Security forces.
The Air Force. Yeah.
So at first, on the way there, I was a little bitter. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're going to bring another kid. And then it kind of hit me like, oh yeah, he's got the same training, if not more, than what you and I have,
yeah,
as
far as that goes.
And it ended up being a blast.
Yeah, it was cool because we were able to criticize each other. All of our, the 3 of us were criticizing each other on our techniques, in a friendly manner. Constructive criticism. Yeah. To work on our accuracy deficiencies and things. We were shooting at different ranges, and at the range there's a chart.
I love that thing. That's so cool. And
so the chart was developed in conjunction with the Army, Air Force, and Marine Corps, and it's a bullseye chart. Some of you might be familiar with this, and it tells you it's like a pie chart, right?
Yeah.
And it tells you if your rounds are hitting in these sections, what the suggested problem might be. Slapping the trigger, pulling the wrist, tightening, whatever the case is, flinching, and therefore this is how correct that behavior, and ostensibly your accuracy will improve.
You'll be more on point, right? And
so we were discussing, what do you think it is? Where do you think the rounds fall? And
what was interesting is
you
came across where you were shooting slightly low and to the left.
Yeah.
And it fell in between two
of them.
Parts, but shooting north-south can be a breathing issue. So we're like, okay, we had to deduce, like, okay, well, let's focus on the one that gives you one problem, how to fix it,
at a time.
And you were able to
narrow it down.
work through, and that was a lot of fun.
So we were working through the issues to get it squared away.
Matthew and I are just like watching you, and we're watching your hands and your breathing, and we're just trying to be able to give you we're nitpicking, but we're giving you the best advice we can see, which was cool.
In that scenario, right, and with my peers, nitpicking is desired, because when you're firing a pistol for accuracy, nitpicking is important because it matters. And a slight deviation in what you do can end up being a large point of impact deviation downrange.
And it's better to make those adjustments at a piece of paper not moving, more so than an intruder or an attacker or whatever the case is.
If you have to, God forbid, you have to use it to protect yourself or a loved one or something.
Sometimes you only have the one shot, right? So we always empty the magazine, but sometimes you have such a short amount of time that you can only get the one shot off. So
in a real world scenario, you may only have that one opportunity to make a life or death decision that will protect you or a loved one or somebody else who's in a life or death situation. So you want to make sure that you are as familiar and comfortable and practiced with your weapon as possible. That's why we always say, train, right?
And you have to. And
it's not enough to buy a firearm, buy some rounds, and go and pop off a few rounds, say, I'm good. No. My personal opinion is firearm training is very much a degradable skill.
Yes, because it's all the intricate parts. It's your trigger squeeze, your follow through, your breathing, your stance, which eye you aim out of, like a whole. What's really cool is the three of us have military experience. We have a good friend who, her and her husband went and did an entire full 8-hour day pistol training and safety, and it was really great to hear them doing that before purchasing pistols and stuff. But they were very grateful to be able to pick up the hints that they were able to.
Yeah, it's nice to have that, because it's sort of validating, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And you bring that information forward with you, and you can educate people, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And when you go out to the public, you have to be ready to inform the public of these things.
And we had fun. I mean, so
and there's always that, right? There's always you have to have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah. So I
fucking ran it over.
the berm itself was roughly 20 yards, 25 yards.
25 yards, yeah.
And then we put a cardboard target, about halfway.
So paper here, paper there.
And because we wanted to have a little bit more of a realistic type of shooting experience.
One for flat out, can you hit at distance, right? And then one for a more statistically realistic engagement range, which is statistically, I think it's between 12 and 18 feet is most handgun engagements. But one out there, 25 yards.
Yeah, and that's more of practicing your accuracy. And because if you can hit something at 25 yards, you should be able to hit something at 15 yards. That's
kind of the idea.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we had 4 or 5 different pistols.
Yeah.
So we had my wife's 22.
Yep.
My Smith & Wesson Shield, which is 9mm.
Yeah.
And then you had 2 of your 40 calibers.
Yeah, I had a Smith & Wesson M&P 40, and we had a Glock 22, which is a 40 caliber service pistol from a federal agent. We used his service pistol, and you really like the Glock angle of grip angle and everything. It's comfortable and everything, right?
So we all shot different style or calibers of weapons.
Yep.
With each weapon, the sighting was a little bit different. Some of them were tighter, some had a little bit more space in between the front posts. The grip was a little different. My shield, I get the extended mag because it's small for my hands. So there was a lot of different variables that we got to work with, and
even among the 2 40 caliber pistols, there was variables, because the Glock was a full-size pistol and my M&P is more of a compact pistol.
But I really like that the pistol grip, because it's a wider grip. So instead of the grip being 90 degrees, it comes closer, so it's more of maybe 110 degrees. For me, I feel like that helps with the recoil. I really enjoyed shooting that.
Transferring it back to your arm. Yeah.
But I mean, did you have a preference other than use?
So I like the grip stippling, the positive grip feel of the M&P. I like the smoothness and trigger pull of the Glock, but I don't like the smoothness of the grip of the Glock, because it's too slick.
Yeah.
Right? So if the Glock had the grip purchase of the M&P, it would be fantastic, but the grip purchase of the Smith & Wesson was fantastic. The thing I don't like about the Glock is the angle of the grip. It's too canted.
Too much.
It's too much for me. So I feel like I'm aiming kind of canted down. But the action is super smooth, and I really enjoy it a lot.
It probably would cost a good amount of money, but trying to get something that specifically manufactured that way would be interesting.
But a lot of people have their Glock grips professionally, or they do it themselves.
Well, not the grip. I'm saying for the angle, though.
Oh, the angle.
The angle of the pistol.
Might be able to have a gunsmith do it.
But what I thought was really cool is Matthew is the most fresh with his training.
He uses
doing
a SIG
regular, and so he was pretty much on target with both the 40s, and but he would have 1 or 2 out of 10 that would go slight left. So he shot my shield,
the 9
and every one was like right within that first ring. So maybe
and
not bullseye,
you
but
could obviously tell
he shoots a 9mm.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he was absolutely very, very comfortable with a 9mm caliber pistol.
yeah, and you know the thing is too is where he brought his fresh and young mentality, which was helpful for me, is that we have to be aware of our own physical limitations, and so as part of my issues, I shake a lot, and I always make jokes about having like Parkinson's, and I was like really getting down on myself, and Matthew's like, you know, even with all the shaking, like you're hitting green, you're hitting center mass, and no, you're not hitting like
we used
bullseye.
so just so you know, we didn't use circular targets. We buy silhouettes.
Yeah.
So it's a person-shaped target. Silhouette is a silhouette of a person.
Yeah.
So we have that visual that if it was an aggressor, would we hit them in a vital area, or would we hit them? So we would know, okay, I didn't hit in the center or whatever, but did I hit them?
Yeah, like you're gonna be will you be able to protect yourself to some degree? And it was nice that he almost brought the dojo, that leadership of being a black belt and an instructor, to the range for me, and remind me like those are the things that I struggle with aren't things that I can actually make adjustments for.
It's not darts, right? You're not hitting the bullseye, but you're hitting the dartboard. Yeah, you're not hitting the bullseye, but you're hitting the person, you're hitting the silhouette.
Yeah.
So if it was a bad guy, your rounds are impacting.
And
you know, ultimately, that's what you want, right?
We got to next time we go, we got to have him shoot in a wheelchair because he's having surgery on his hip, so he'll be broken. So we'll have
we were also firing offhand. I was firing one hand, and next time we got to fire from different positions, like prone position and
I think we should try weak hand shooting too.
Yeah, we didn't try that. So, word of advice: when you go to the range, don't just repetition dominant, right? Because what if you get injured in your dominant hand, your dominant shoulder? Try offhand, which is, you know, one hand shooting. Try your weak hand shooting. Try different things while you're in a comfortable environment, because you never know. Yeah, and you know, using different positions, posting up against a wall or what, all those things. I mean, it's great to shoot at paper, standing, and that's going to give you a lot of your shooting discipline. Like breathing, trigger control, whatever.
But being up against something or standing or in a prone, and all these positions will really help.
And include stress discipline. Do some jumping jacks if you can. Get your heart rate up so you shake and you breathe. Anything to include some real world analogs. Right?
What you should never do is say that you're going to go shoot the shotgun 3 times in a row,
and don't do it. Because we
haven't.
We brought the shot. We brought it.
We did, and I still haven't shot my shotgun from last year. So
next time.
So we'll, you know.
There's always tomorrow.
But and by all means, full disclosure, we are not experts or shooting coaches. We just take our experiences. We're trying to work it together with each other. So I'm sure there are people out there better trained who can. Dissect what we're saying. But
guarantee you there's people better. So, and if you have any advice on it, tell us, because I'll take it.
Oh, absolutely,
because there's always room for growth, and for me and you, there's a lot of room for growth.
No, for sure, 1,000%. So
talk to you guys when we're done with our coffee hour.
Yeah.
All right, good.